Walking barcodes is all about both dissolving interfaces, which we're seeing happen more and more, but it's also about new ways in which technology can identify us not only by our faces, but actually many other methods are beginning to arise where our signature effectively becomes our body. Imagine that in the near future, you can go to get your train in the morning and instead of having to buy a ticket at all, you're just recognized because of your body and you step onto the train. This is a trend which is going to head in two directions at once. On the one hand, there's going to be plenty of people who will object to it because they're fearful about what it means from a privacy perspective. And rightly too, we're seeing some governments around the world beginning to use facial recognition for all kinds of things. In some cases for control over civic society, in other cases, for example, making it mandatory, as they've done in China, to have a facial scan in order to be able to have a mobile phone. So these are going to cause us to ask big questions. But the flip side of that is that there's lots of benefits, particularly around simplification, around being able to do facial recognition. We're seeing some of those benefits, for example, beginning to emerge in the healthcare space, but I think we're also going to see them in public spaces where we do routine transactions. For example, like unlocking a locker at the gym or being able to get on a plane more easily. And there will be people who will find that difficult, but our view, when you look at it from a human and design perspective, especially aided by the technology which 5G is bringing to us, which will allow for faster interactions in public spaces. As that happens, so people will say, you know what, I'm saving myself 5 or 10 seconds and a bit of fumbling around to find my ticket. I'm actually going to embrace that. So this poses some really interesting questions for design. And as designers, our job is to understand human behavior and design around it. Humans, as they become walking barcodes, will be conscious of the fact that they're leaving a cookie trail, a physical cookie trail as well as the digital cookie trail that they leave around them. In the past, we've often been a little bit too disrespectful of the way in which data is captured and stored and the privacy issues that go with that. We can't afford for this to happen in the physical space because people won't accept it. So we're going to have to think very hard about how we signal to people that we're collecting the data and give them some control, or maybe even total control, over how that's used. We talk a lot in design about seamless, but this is exactly the kind of place where we mustn't go seamless. We do need what we would call beautiful seams in this place. And those beautiful seams are the points at which we signal to people, your data, your body, has been at this stage captured or used in the transaction, and this is what it's being used for. Think of it as being like the supermarket beep when you're scanning something as you're trying to check out. Those kinds of interactions are going to be super critical here. Lastly, this also poses a very interesting societal question, which is, are we all going to become even more self-aware? After all, if we're walking around being captured on camera and by devices all day long, do we actually begin to think of ourselves as being in our own little movie all day long of ourselves? That might actually lead to some very interesting changes in both public and private behavior.